History remembers its conquerors: Alexander, Caesar, Genghis Khan, but what if the most fearsome conqueror of them all was a woman you've never heard of? What if her name has been deliberately buried, erased from the epics of human conquest? Forget what you think you know about powerful women in history. We're about to uncover one of the forgotten African legends, a story forged in blood, iron, and an unbreakable will. A tale of a queen who built an empire with a sword in her hand and terror in her heart. They called her Amina, a woman as capable as a man. In the 16th century, while Europe was tangled in its own dynastic squabbles, a storm was gathering in the heart of Africa. A woman was rising, destined to command an army of 20,000 soldiers, to expand her kingdom across hundreds of miles, and to become the most feared queen in African history. This is the story of Queen Amina of Zazzau, the African warrior queen whose legacy is as brutal as it is brilliant. She never married, never bore children. Her only love was war. Her only offspring was an empire. But every legend has its dark side, a secret so shocking it threatens to unravel everything we know about her. What was the terrible price of her power? The answer has been hidden for centuries, until now. Let's travel back to the heart of what is now modern-day Nigeria, to the Hausa kingdom of Zazzau. The year is around 1533. A baby girl is born into the royal court. Her name is Amina. But this was no ordinary royal birth. From the moment she entered the world, it was clear she was different. Her grandfather, the king, recognized a fire in her eyes, a spirit that couldn't be tamed. While other girls of nobility learned weaving and palace etiquette, Amina was drawn to the training grounds. She spent her days with soldiers, learning the art of the sword, the strategy of the battlefield, and the cold calculus of life and death. By the age of 16, she wasn't just a princess. She was a seasoned warrior, already commanding her own cavalry unit. Her skill was undeniable, her bravery legendary. But it was her ambition that truly set her apart. She didn't just want to fight for her kingdom. She wanted to lead it, to expand it, to carve its name into the very fabric of history. Her brother, Chrono, eventually took the throne, and for 10 years, Amina served as his top general. She led his armies to victory after victory, honing her skills, building her reputation, and waiting. Waiting for her moment. When her brother died, the throne was hers. The year was 1576. Queen Amina of Zazzau was now in command. And her first act as queen would send a shockwave across the continent. She didn't consolidate power or engage in diplomacy. No, 3 months into her reign, she launched a military campaign that would last for the next 34 years. This wasn't just a war, it was a relentless, unstoppable conquest. Her goal was terrifyingly simple: subjugate everyone. To make all the surrounding lands her vassals. Her army, the Garkuwa, was a force of nature. 20,000 infantry and 1,000 cavalry, all fiercely loyal to their warrior queen. They swept through neighboring lands, from Chrono in the north to Nupe in the south. She personally led her troops into battle, a fearsome sight in her iron armor, a sword in her hand. Her tactics were revolutionary. She is credited with introducing metal armor, including iron helmets and chainmail, to her army. But her greatest innovation was strategic. She didn't just conquer, she fortified. Everywhere her army stopped, she built massive earthen walls, fortifications that still stand today, known as Ganuwar Amina, or Amina's walls. These weren't just defensive structures. They were symbols of her dominion, physical proof of her ever-expanding power. She controlled the trade routes, dominating the lucrative trade in salt, metals, and cola nuts. Wealth poured into Zazzau, making it the most powerful trading center in the region. She turned her kingdom into an empire, a commercial and military powerhouse, all built on the strength of her will. But power, especially absolute power, comes at a cost. And this is where the story of Queen Amina of Zazzau takes a dark and mysterious turn. The legends surrounding her personal life are as fierce as her military campaigns. It is said she never married, choosing instead to take a temporary husband from the ranks of the defeated enemy chieftains after each battle. But these were not unions of love, or even politics, they were unions of death. According to the Chrono Chronicle, a famous manuscript of Hausa history, after spending one night with her chosen man, she would have him executed the next morning. Why? Was it a brutal tactic to ensure no man could ever claim power over her or her throne? A way to keep her secrets safe? Or was it something darker, a ritualistic sacrifice to fuel her power, her rage, her unending conquest? The historical records are silent on her motives, leaving us with a chilling mystery. This practice, if true, paints a portrait not just of a powerful queen, but of a woman utterly isolated by her own supremacy, a ruler who trusted no one. Her reign lasted 34 years, 34 years of constant warfare, of expansion, of building an empire that was the envy of all. Her name was whispered in fear, and off from the shores of the Atlantic to the sands of the Sahara. She was Amina, the conqueror, the builder, the woman who was a king. But how did it all end? Even her death is shrouded in mystery. Some sources say she died in battle at a place called Atagar, near modern-day Ida, a warrior's end for a warrior queen. Others claim she simply vanished, her mission complete. Unlike other great conquerors, her empire did not long survive her. It fractured, weakened, and eventually faded. Perhaps it was dependent on her singular, ferocious vision. Perhaps no successor could possibly fill the void she left behind. And this might be the greatest tragedy of her story. Her name, once feared across a continent, faded into the realm of legend, becoming one of the forgotten African legends we are only now rediscovering. So why is her story so important today? Because the tale of Queen Amina of Zazzau shatters our preconceptions. It challenges the narratives of history, which have for so long been written by and about men, primarily European men. It reminds us that powerful women in history existed everywhere, in every culture, leading armies, building empires, and shaping the world we live in. Amina was not a footnote, she was the headline. Her legacy isn't just in the earthen walls that still crisscross the Nigerian landscape, it's in the inspiration she provides. A story of a woman who refused to be defined by her gender, who seized power and wielded it with an iron fist. Was she a hero or a tyrant, a brilliant strategist or a bloodthirsty warlord? Perhaps she was all of these things. Queen Amina of Zazzau forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about power, ambition, and the price of greatness. Her story has been waiting in the shadows for too long. Now, it's time for the world to remember the name of the most feared queen in African history. What do you think? Was Amina's brutal personal ritual a necessary evil to maintain power, or the act of a monster? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Her story is a powerful reminder that history is full of incredible figures we've yet to fully understand. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the past.
History isn't just what happened, it's what was hidden. Welcome to the Chrono archives, where lost empires rise again, forgotten legends speak, and ancient truths are brought back to life. From world-shaping history and powerful myths to legendary rulers and timeless civilizations, every story here is carefully uncovered, deeply researched, and cinematically told. The past is calling, will you answer? Subscribe and journey through time, one unforgettable chronicle at a time.
In the heart of West Africa, long before European ships reached its shores, a powerful empire was forged not by a king, but by a queen. This is the story of a forgotten legend, a name that once echoed with fear and respect across the savannas, the legendary African warrior queen, Amina of Zazzau. Our story begins in the 16th century, a time of vibrant trade and fierce competition among the Hausa states. In the center of it all was the prosperous city-state of Zazzau, modern-day Zaria, in Nigeria. It was a hub of commerce where salt from the Sahara met gold from the forests, and its markets buzzed with life. But this prosperity was fragile, constantly threatened by rival kingdoms. Into this world, around 1533, a princess was born. Amina was her name, daughter of the ruler, Bakwa Turunku. From a young age, it was clear she was no ordinary royal. While other girls learned domestic arts, Amina was drawn to the world of her grandfather, the Sarkin Zazzau. She shadowed him in the royal court, absorbing lessons in politics and diplomacy. She trained with the kingdom's finest soldiers, mastering the sword and the bow and learning the art of war. The court watched in awe as the young princess honed her skills, her ambition burning as brightly as the Saharan sun. She was destined not just to rule, but to conquer. When her father passed away, the throne went to her younger brother, Chrono. For 10 years, Amina patiently served as his lead warrior, honing her legendary military prowess. She commanded the cavalry, leading thousands of soldiers into battle, her reputation growing with every victory. She was a master strategist, her tactics both brilliant and brutal. When Chrono died, the path to power was finally clear. In 1576, the people of Zazzau did not just get a new ruler. They crowned a warrior. Queen Amina had arrived. Her ascension wasn't without challenge. Neighboring states, accustomed to dealing with kings, underestimated the new queen. It was a fatal mistake. Amina didn't wait for threats to arrive at her doorstep. She took the fight to them. With an army of 20,000 infantry and 1,000 cavalry, she launched a campaign of expansion that would last for her entire 34-year reign. This wasn't just conquest for the sake of power. Queen Amina of Zazzau was a visionary. Her military campaigns were designed to control the lucrative trans-Saharan trade routes that stretched for hundreds of miles. From the new lands in the south to the powerful states of Chrono and Katsina in the north, kingdoms either submitted or were crushed. Her armies moved with terrifying speed and precision. She demanded tribute not just in goods, but in skilled artisans and eunuchs, incorporating the strengths of conquered peoples into her own burgeoning empire. She introduced metal armor, including iron helmets and chainmail, to her army, a technological advantage that made her forces nearly invincible. As her empire grew, so did the need to protect it. All across the vast territory she controlled, massive earthen walls began to rise. These fortifications, known today as Ganuwar Amina or Amina's walls, were a testament to her strategic genius. Some sections still stand centuries later, silent monuments to the African warrior queen who built them. They served as defensive barriers for her military camps and newly conquered cities, securing her trade routes and consolidating her power. This network of walls created a domain larger than any Hausa kingdom had ever known. She made Zazzau the center of the world. Amina's legacy is more than just military might. She redefined what it meant to be a leader in African history. In a world dominated by men, she proved that a woman could not only rule, but could become one of the greatest military commanders of her era. She never married, never had children, dedicating her entire life to her people and her empire. Oral traditions speak of her taking a new husband in every town she conquered, a legend that, while likely symbolic, highlights her absolute authority and the subversion of traditional gender roles. She was a true force of nature, one of the most powerful African queens to ever live. For over 3 decades, she reigned supreme. Her death is shrouded in mystery, with legends claiming she died in battle near Atagar, modern-day Ida, but her influence did not end with her life. Queen Amina's story was passed down through generations of Hausa oral tradition, a tale of courage, power, and unapologetic ambition. She became a symbol of strength and female leadership, inspiring countless African women in history and beyond. Today, in Nigeria, her name is legendary. Statues are erected in her honor, schools are named after her, and her story continues to captivate those who hear it. She is a reminder of the forgotten African empires and the powerful figures who shaped them, a history rich with leaders whose stories are only now being retold to the world. She was more than a queen. She was a storm that reshaped a continent, a leader whose echo can still be heard in the winds blowing across the ancient walls of Zazzau. A warrior, a builder, a legend. Her name was Amina, the woman who became a king. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. If you were inspired by the story of this incredible African queen, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more hidden histories. In the dust of ages, where empires rise and fall, some names are not merely spoken, they are felt. They resonate through time, a drumbeat from the past echoing in the heart of the present. Amina, Queen of Zazzau, is such a name. Her story is not just a chapter in a history book. It is a living testament to the power of human will, a blaze of leadership that time cannot extinguish. We've walked the sun-scorched earth of her conquests, seen the towering walls she built not just of clay, but of vision and courage. We've heard the whispers of her name carried on the desert Queen Amina, the warrior queen, the woman who was a man. But her legacy is more than battles won or territory claimed. It is a profound statement about what is possible. In a world that sought to define her, she defined herself. In an era that placed limits on women, she shattered them, proving that leadership knows no gender, only strength, wisdom, and an unyielding spirit. Think about it. Over 400 years ago, a woman in West Africa commanded armies, expanded an empire, and fostered trade routes that became arteries of prosperity for her people. She didn't just rule, she built. She didn't just conquer, she secured. The famous Zazzau walls, some of which stand to this day, are more than fortifications. They are monuments to her foresight, a physical embodiment of her promise to protect her people. Each grain of earth in those ramparts is a piece of her resolve. Her reign marked a golden age for Zazzau. By controlling the vital trade routes, she brought immense wealth and influence to her kingdom. Cola nuts, salt, and precious metals flowed through her lands, but what she truly cultivated was something far more valuable, a legacy of strength and self-reliance. She demonstrated that an African kingdom, led by an African queen, could be a center of power, innovation, and culture. But why does her story matter so much today, centuries later? It matters because the world is still filled with walls visible and invisible. It matters because there are still voices waiting to be heard, leaders waiting to emerge. Amina's story is a mirror reflecting the potential that lies within each of us, especially the young people of today. It calls out to the young woman who is told her dreams are too big, to the young man who feels the weight of expectation, to anyone who has ever been made to feel they are less than. Amina's life shouts from the rooftops of history, "You are enough, your strength is real. Your heritage is powerful." Her legacy is a vital piece of a larger story, the story of Africa's forgotten heroes. For too long, the history of the continent has been told through a narrow, external lens, a narrative of subjugation and passivity. But the truth is, Africa's history is a rich tapestry woven with threads of innovation, resilience, and brilliant leadership. It is a history of queens like Amina, of scholars in Timbuktu, of architects in Great Zimbabwe, of philosophers and artists who shaped their world. Reclaiming these stories isn't just about correcting the historical record. It's about restoring a sense of pride and possibility for a new generation. When we see Amina, we see the courage to lead from the front. We see the wisdom to build for the future. We see the audacity to defy every single expectation. She wasn't born into a world that was ready for her, so she forged a world that had no choice but to recognize her greatness. Her story is not a myth, it is a blueprint. It shows us that one person's courage can reshape a nation, that one leader's vision can echo for an eternity. So, as we close this chapter, let us not see it as an ending. Let it be a beginning. Let the legend of Amina ignite a fire within you. A fire to question the limits placed upon you. A fire to build your own walls of security and ambition. A fire to lead with integrity and fearlessness. Her spirit lives on, not in ancient texts or dusty relics, but in the untamed heart of Africa and in every soul that dares to dream of greatness. It is a reminder that legends are not just born. They are made, forged in the crucible of challenge, and crowned with the will to endure. Her name was Amina, and her reign has never ended.
As we close this chapter of the Chrono archives, remember, the past is never truly gone. It waits patiently in the shadows of forgotten ruins, in the echoes of ancient voices, and in the timeless lessons that still guide us today. It waits to be remembered by curious minds like yours. Thank you for joining us on this extraordinary journey through the annals of time. If today's exploration of lost civilizations, mythical legends, or historical enigmas ignited your passion for the past, hit that like button, drop a comment with your favorite moment or what you'd love to see next, and most importantly, subscribe to the Chrono Archives and continue the journey through time. Turn on notifications so you never miss an episode where we unearth buried secrets, decode ancient mysteries, and bring history's greatest stories back to life. Together, we'll keep the flame of the past burning bright. Until next time, fellow time travelers, keep questioning, keep discovering, and keep remembering. The Chrono Archives, where the past lives forever.